All right, it began with an emergency authorization at the border. That's how the tariffs began, by the way, just so you understand, because they're handed down during the International Emergency Economics Power Act. IEEA authorized the president to regulate imports during a national emergency declared under the National Emergency Act, which he did on the border. Joining me now is Terry Sawchuk. He's the founder of Sawchuk Wealth, because we're trying to get a feel for what these tariffs are going to mean to us here, maybe to the folks north of the border and south of the border. Terry, good morning. Good to have you.
Good morning, Steve.
So the tariffs announced over the weekend, 25% on all imports from Canada except energy, that's 10%. All imports from Mexico, 25%, and 10% on China. They're still getting a bit of a nod here. And there's a retaliation clause. If they try to respond in some way, then the tariffs go up. All right. Break it down for me. I mean, a lot of mixed feelings for people on the tariffs, you included. I need a better understanding of them. I think a lot of people do.
Well, I guess it depends on, from which perspective you're asking for clarity. I'll start with, I don't think they're going to last all that long. I mean, it's pretty clear that neither Canada nor Mexico have the stronger position here. And so I think it won't take long for that part to get settled. As far as like the big picture, there's a debate. Trump's been talking about this idea of eliminating the income tax and going back to a completely tariff-based system. I don't know if we'll get there or not, but I do think that, the goal here is to relieve the burden off of the American people.
Well, I think I'd be quite happy with no income tax. In fact, I mean, you look at the states that have no income tax, they thrive compared to those that have income tax. So is that a practical pursuit? Is it even possible, or is that just some sort of a pipe dream?
No, I think this is his plan. Now, again, it's obvious just from this initial wave of these tariffs that have been announced, there's going to be an enormous amount of pushback, right? But the thing that people are completely misunderstanding about this, in my opinion, is the work that DOGE is doing. I think that if DOGE is successful, and they're working to get to, I think it's $4 billion a day so that they can cut at least $1 trillion out of spending. You can argue to the cows come home about how, inflationary tariffs, may or may not be. But I can tell you that cutting $1 trillion out of spending is deflationary. And if it works, the bond vigilantes will chill, okay, and interest rates will come down. And that's on a net basis, that's going to be super positive for America longer term.
All right. So a week ago today, we had the big NVIDIA downturn, the big tech shock with the new AI app from China, right? But that kind of evened out by the end of the week. And what about tariffs? Do those does the market consume the information, kind of put it in its place and move on?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the market's already this morning, Steve, recovered about half of what it was down just over the weekend. Now, granted, the markets haven't opened and we don't know exactly what will happen when that takes place. But this is just going to be a blip on the radar in the grander scheme of things. There's bigger battles to fight. But I can tell you this, like there's in the movies when the mobster shoots one of his own family members to prove a point. I think that's what's going on here, right? You have to, and other countries are going to go, holy, you know what? If they're willing to do that to Canada or Mexico, what do you think they're going to do for us?
Yeah. You never talk about the family outside the family.
Right.
I got it. All right. So that's why I mean, you talk about risk management all the time, right? That's whether it's the Chinese and their app, tariffs and the uncertainty, taxes, no taxes, regulatory issues. Uncertainty is what creates unsettling issues in the market. So that's why you have to take care of those yourself in your own portfolio, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, risk management, Steve, is going to be important again. If we go back to, when Trump first took office in 2016, there was some of this like bombastic talk, and in this case, there's going to be actions behind it. I think he's a very different president this time than he was in 2016 for obvious reasons. And so you're going to get disruptive things that take place, and you're going to have proper risk management in place. Long term, Trump's going to be great. This administration is going to be great. But in the short term, not only are we seeing some volatility just over the last couple of weeks, but I do think that the market got a little frothy. And so we're going to need to see a healthy pullback sometime this year. And we'll probably get it. And so this idea that you can diversify risk away, in my opinion, it's not the best way to handle it. There are better ways to handle risk management than diversification.
So where do we go from here? Just you need risk management, and as you point out, risk management is my responsibility, not Donald Trump's. Right. It is. I mean, he's going to do whatever he's going to do to try to make the country better. As I've been talking about since he took office, there's going to be some potholes in that road, some big bumps, aren't there?
Yeah, I think the reality is we may get a financing air pocket later this year as, Scott Bessent tries to deal with the fact that so much of the debt was financed in T-bills on a short-term basis rather than coupons at a long-term basis. There's a chance we could flood the market with supply, which just means that the long-term rates could get pushed higher in the short term. Again, if Doge does what it's supposed to do, that's deflationary. That's going to bring interest rates down. But in the short term, I would not be surprised in 2025 if we saw a 20 to even maybe as much as a 40% decline in equity prices. Trump said he doesn't care about the hedge funds, and I don't blame him at this point.
Yeah, but 20 to 40% down in the hedge funds, that ripples through all of us, doesn't it? So,
I mean, it's not good.
No, it's not good.
I mean, it's not good. But if you have good risk management, there's no reason why you should participate to that level, right?
Fair point. You can find out more, by the way, with Terry. Sawchukwealth.com/Gruber. Sawchukwealth.com/Gruber. The QR code there on your screen. For those of you watching on Real America's Voice or any of the streaming services, just click that QR code. It'll take you there. You can schedule that free 30-minute call to see if they can help you with your risk management. Terry, as always, thank you for being here.
Steve, it's a pleasure. Always on my end. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. Sawchukwealth.com/Gruber. Check it out. Free consultation. I'll take a break and be right back.